are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So yesterday, I was just kind of sifting through the channels, waiting for college football to come on. I know with Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee, but I just like watching football. So waiting for that to come on and then flipping back and forth between the Dodgers, who I don't know why they're struggling, but, Blue Jays are now leading the series, but the Apocalypse X-Men movie was on, and I wasn't a real big fan of that movie. I only saw it once, but Michael Fassbender popped on the screen. So I stopped. I was like, you know what? I could watch this for a little bit. And then I remember a few days back, Lord of the Rings was on, I think over the weekend. Anytime Lord of the Rings or Return of the King or The Fellowship or The Two Towers, anytime those movies are on, I have to stop and go, there's Vigo. So I obviously have a type. I don't really know exactly what that type is, but I used to never have a type when I dated. It was a pulse. If you had a pulse, right? I'm good to go. I need a boyfriend. So pulse, fine by me. But we do actually have types. The comedians, I don't necessarily find comedians attractive. However, Eddie Murphy and Delirious, I always thought was hot. Young Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop, always had a crush on him. So I guess it's personality, it's looks, it's athleticism, it's, I don't know, maybe a little bit of bucking the norm. But when we look at types, people have a type. What is there biologically or evolutionarily underscoring in that? So I've had friends who have said they don't want to be with super skinny women. And I go, you're just telling me that to make me feel better. They're like, no, I'm not attracted to very skinny women. Some people say. Or they don't want fat. They don't want obese. Now, why is that? Is there some unconscious fertility understanding of evolution and how, we're trying to find the most perfect mate for us, where our types are designed to make sure that it's like the Cinderella shoe, where we have the most perfect fit. Not so much even physically, but just physiologically, genetically. There's been studies looking at women who are underweight and women who are overweight in terms of fertility issues. And they say if you are the extremes, where you're too thin or too obese, that could affect your fertility. And so maybe some people are picking up on that subconsciously, where they need to know that somebody's got a little bit of curves, so they got that estrogen. So they have that because fat makes estrogen, and they have that ability to, be able to ovulate or, let's say, maintain a pregnancy. Is it that they are picking somebody similar to their mom? Researchers have looked at this. Why would a man, right, who has a mom, why would they subconsciously find somebody similar to somebody like that? Well, it depends. If you hated your mom, you're going to find somebody exactly opposite. But if you loved your mom and, the self-sacrifice, the selflessness, the strength, the comforting, you might be subconsciously thinking that I want somebody like that for my children. It's not that you want that mate to be your mate, but you want those characteristics for your kids. And so my question to you all is, do you have a type? Now, I got friends where, okay, well, blonde, like, yeah, but beyond the blonde, okay? Beyond the green eyes, beyond, big booty. What is your type? We look at movie stars and we look at, and one thing I notice is I don't necessarily love, a movie star. I like them in that role. There's a role I like them in. So that means there's something deeper. That means there's an attitude or there's a personality or that person is making choices that I find very attractive. See, Corey I always liked because he was a little bit of a, I'm going to buck the system. He was athletic. He was strong. I really kind of liked that, I wanted my man taller than me. And stronger than me. That's just something I was attracted to, and I, so for him, it was not only his looks, but it was also, just his attitudes towards things. And I was like, okay, it's like, I want the kids to know how to fish, how to survive in the wilderness. I was like, oh, damn, that's hot. And because as a mom, I wanted that. And so we have types. And we might not want to admit them out loud, that there's certain, because honestly, you're good looking. I like good looking. But there's more to that. And I really do believe that we pick up on things. Well, this is why when you see all this dating advice, the younger generations now aren't meeting somebody across the bar. I mean, there was the sports pub when I went to UNLV, and I could have claimed them as a dependent. I was there all the time. Who did I see across the room at the sports pub and who came up to me? That's not how it's happening, where you see somebody across the room. It's, okay, I'm seeing somebody online, and these filters are trying to pick out what people are into, and anybody could put anything. I mean, a lot of guys say you love pets. Women love that. Do you really love pets? Or are you going to kick the dog when I'm not looking? And so you end up kind of having this self-filter that makes it a little bit more difficult. We're going to talk more about this. But, yeah, think about what is actually your type and why. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Hey, guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the one thing I have found absolutely ridiculous is when I would have a Medicare patient, they would see me in the office and I would hand them a prescription. And they would hold on to this prescription and look at me like I can't pay for it. Like, what's generic, it's you have Medicare. Medicare doesn't cover prescriptions. Medicare will pay for part of your hospital stay, seeing the doctor, but not the medications. In order for you to get your medications, you have to get supplemental or something called Medicare Part D. Medicare Part D covers drugs. Why do we have a Medicare Part A, Part B, Part D, and then you have C, or Medicare Advantage, which will then cover all the stuff Medicare doesn't cover, or supposedly dental, medications, other things. And so you're looking at this system as it's stupid. Now, why? Why did Medicare pick and choose what it covered? Well, because back, I believe, in the 60s, when they were designing this, Lyndon B. Johnson and the powers that be were worried that the drug prices were so volatile that the U.S. government couldn't commit to saying, we got your medicines covered. Now, medications were not that expensive at the time. They were more worried about the hospital bill and going to the doctor. And so it concentrated on that. And it wasn't until, I guess, later in the 90s or 2000s that Medicare Part D, let me get the year right on this, where then they had coverage finally for, 2003. That's when you had the Medicare Prescription Drug Improvement and Modernization Act, which then added the Medicare drug coverage. Well, what, I bring this up because the Democrats are holding up signing that 24-page CR because they want to address Obamacare, which, again, was their mess to begin with. And so they want to kind of use this time as leverage, and it's a mess, especially since now I think both of them are going away. It's Halloween weekend. They're not even doing any more votes. But you're looking at the way government does healthcare, and it's stupid. Now, somebody could say, Dr. Daliah, the problem is if you now include in Medicare hearing aids, dental, prescription drugs, that's going to cost the taxpayer too much money. Okay, well, I have a couple answers to that. First and foremost, for anybody that has been busting their ass, right, working their whole adult life as American citizens or American residents, legal, and have been putting money into the Medicare system, you're telling me you're not going to flip and clean their teeth? Really? Okay, they put money into the system. They should have a huge account with their name on it saying, we got you. So, not to mention, people say, yeah, but there's not enough money. Look at all the people who put money into Medicare that are not living anymore. You have that money. There's money. The government just doesn't spend it right. Number two, if I diagnose somebody with diabetes and they actually get their medicines and take their medications, they're going to be less likely to need a hospitalization. We are going to be able to keep medical costs down if they're in control. You have somebody who's an uncontrolled diabetic, they start getting a foot ulcer. Now they start getting osteomyelitis, and they may need their foot or leg amputated. Don't you think it would have been cheaper for us to pay for the metformin or the insulin? You really will minimize costs if you do health care correctly. And I am looking at our most vulnerable population. And I'm looking, sorry, my eyelash. I'm looking at our most vulnerable population. And we're screwing around with their health. Now, people say, Dr. Daliah, we're good. Because you got the Part A, you got the Part B. They could get the Part D. You could also then get Part C and pay for that. And then that'll cover all. It's very confusing. And if we now, I mean, the Democrats, this might be a blessing in disguise. Because Obamacare has been a cluster and a seventh now for what, 15, 16 years? No. Yeah. Okay. So Obamacare stinks. Stupid. With the exception of the pre-existing condition clause that needed to be addressed and physicals addressed, most of that bill sucks. And so with the Democrats saying, well, we got to talk about the subsidies and we got to continue the subsidy. I mean, trust me, you could get the GOP to come to the table to go, let's revamp Obamacare. Let's make it Trump care. So I think those talks are going to happen. But, can we also, if we're really going to look at health care, fix this Medicare BS? It's really daunting when I hear older patients go, I can't afford my medications. And I'm not going to go to the doctor because they're going to prescribe medication that I can't buy. What? Well, I thought you have Medicare. Medicare's supposed to cover that. I would have to do pre-op physicals for patients going in for their knee replacements or hip replacements, and the orthopedic doctor I worked with, or GI doctor, whoever was going to be doing surgery, would need a pre-op physical. The pre-op physical has an EKG and chest x-ray. I would order the chest x-ray, and they would come back saying Medicare won't pay for it. I'm like, what are you talking about? That you have Medicare, they're supposed to. That's not even a medication. It's an x-ray. Medicare is not going to cover that. I'm like, well, the surgeon won't operate on you. They need to know if your lungs are healthy, you're going to be getting anesthesia. And I kept seeing these people in limbo. Now, maybe it's a little better. Maybe now Medicare is covering that pre-op chest x-ray. But years ago, they didn't. And you're one of the reasons why a lot of doctors were starting to drop Medicare is because they were the most ridiculous entity to work with. They could really simplify it. Now, we don't want government-run healthcare because we see what government does with Medicare. It's a mess. But simplify it a little bit. Do you really need A, B, and C? Why do you have to have Medicare Part A and then Medicare Part B? Okay, you can simplify it. If a senior or somebody who's disabled has to go to a medical provider, whether it's an urgent care, whether it's an ER, whether it's a Dr. Daliah clinic, do it. Just cover it. You don't have to go, well, this is A and this is B and we have money going into A, money going into B. When they take that money out of your paycheck, it just says Medicare. Why can't it be just Medicare? And with the way Trump is negotiating drug prices, I mean, this is huge. I know a lot of the media outlets don't want to give him credit for this, but when you're telling the pharmaceutical company this is BS, you're not going to charge us more than Mexico. You're not going to charge us more than Canada. Not happening. We pay what they pay. Our prices are going to go down. Now, mind you, cancer drugs, expensive. Hepatitis treatments, expensive. But if we can ensure that the average Medicare patient gets what they need to out the gate, imagine these individuals who are 65 years old, and you could prevent diabetic complications, renal complications. Mind you, things happen in your 80s, 90s, 100, but you will save money. And I keep seeing the same mistake. Same thing with dental care. Many people avoid getting dental work because they don't have, it's expensive. And when you look at the cost of what dentists have to do, they're undercharging. To be honest, I mean, it is expensive to run a dental office. Have hygienists, equipment, all that. So older individuals will be less likely to want to go and get their dental care. If they don't get their dental care, now they get infection. When you get infection, that can also cause heart inflammation. Your teeth are so important. They are a huge part of your health. Not to mention, they also help decide our gut microbiome. You got to have clean teeth. You got to have dental care. Hearing. We're not going to help seniors with their hearing? Are you kidding me? So my vote, if I get a vote, is fix Medicare once and for all, where it's not this BS where people have to pay more out of pocket for something they should have always gotten. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So this is something that you're seeing a lot of discussions on, in the news, where people are supporting independents, Republican candidates, and they're saying, when they're asked, are you leaving the Democratic Party? They're saying, no, the Democratic Party left me. And you keep hearing this. What does that mean? The Democratic Party left me. Now, even though you have to actively leave the Democratic Party, you see Andrew Cuomo going, I'm a Democrat, but I'm running as an independent. Because the current Democrat who claims he's Democrat is not really a Democrat. He's a socialist, he says. Zohran Mamdani calls himself a democratic socialist, but Andrew Cuomo is saying he's a socialist, even though many people are also calling him a communist, anti-Semite, and other things. And boy, you should see these clips coming up he's claiming that police and the way they act is because they have IDF influences. I mean, it's ridiculous what comes out of this, and he's going to be running New York City. Don't get me started on that. But when you are a part of a group and part of a family, okay, you want to feel a part of that family. And I was speaking to somebody who is Democrat. This was at, I think I was getting my hair done. And she was waiting. We were, while one of us is getting our color and the other one is my hair's colored. She's like, this is why the Democrats lost the election. The Democrats did not allow for free thought. They didn't allow for discourse. And so if you didn't agree with every single thing, you felt rejected. And I remember seeing this. If you're not with us, you're against us. There's something wrong with you. And when you have Democrats who were always advocating for women in sports, right? And they were always, advocating for keeping the government out of, keeping the federal government out of abortion. And then they start to kind of look at the way things are changing. If you are going to be a church, a temple, a mosque, a family, you need to not be concentrating on these are the rules and we're going to reject you. You want to concentrate on we're a family because of all of us. We're all pieces. There's not just one or two people running this family. And if you don't agree with us, you're out. The best families, the most cohesive families are those where we are going to combine all our ideas. We're going to make Christmas our way. We're going to do Hanukkah our way. Ours. The Democratic Party is ours. The Republican Party is ours. But that's not. You have the powers that be. And I can't, I have Democrats and Republicans in the family. I have Democrat and Republican friends. Many of the Democrats are like, why aren't they signing the CR? That isn't what I mean, come on, man. Why are they doing this? That's not representing me. I don't want our food banks running out of food before the winter season when the homeless people need it. And we have to feed federal workers because of what's going on with the stupid CR not getting signed. Why? Because of Obamacare, which was the most ridiculous argument, the Obamacare subsidies. Those could be negotiated. And trust me, the GOP wants to renegotiate Obamacare. They will. That does not have to even have anything to do with the CR. And so like Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about Charlie Kirk originally. And she had said, even though she disagrees with everything he says, she really felt bad. And she hopes that he's with God and God was with him when he died. Okay, well, that was a nice thing to say. It is completely American to say, look, you and I might disagree, but I respect you as a person. I'm still a human being. Then she got vilified by the left. We're talking Jamie Lee Curtis. Come on, man. She got vilified, and then she decided she should have told everybody to go, blink, and the horse they rode in on. But instead, she counters, saying that her comments were mistranslated. She said, I was talking about him in a very positive way, which I wasn't. I was simply talking about his faith in God. Don't apologize, Jamie Lee Curtis. People want to vilify Charlie Kirk. You might not like him. You might like him or you might not like him. But you don't want to see somebody die. People who didn't vote for JFK didn't want to see him shot. I mean, there might have been some bad actors out there that were happy about it, but you saw a human being lose her life. When Ronald Reagan was shot, and he goes to the medical center, was it UCLA? I forget which hospital took care of him. And he jokes, and he says, I hope you all are Republican. And he was joking while he was there. And the doctor said, today we're all Republican. Good for the doctor, whether he was Democrat or not. But I actually said, we're American, and we protect our commander-in-chief. Despite whether we agree with you or not, you're our commander-in-chief. And so you're going after Jamie Lee Curtis. You're going after individuals who are just trying to be American, be human. And at some point, people cannot feel that way. So, I don't know much about the Republican Party. I'm nonpartisan. But if you had somebody who was Republican saying, I'm pro-choice, I don't think the fetus is alive, the Republicans aren't going to say, go, you're not Republican. You still vote Republican, and you still like Republican ideas, they'll take you. All right? And many Republicans are of that thinking, look, the fetus is alive. These are live fetuses, but we don't want the government involved in the decision of what a mom does. And so you have people of saying, baby's alive, we have to protect the baby. Others saying it's up to the mom. But that's what a political party needs to be, where it allows people that have a variety of opinions. We are not fascist. We are not supposed to just be the same thinker. some of what Trump is doing is absolutely fantastic. Should he have gotten on the microphone telling pregnant women to not take any Tylenol at all? No, that went too far. We should be able to say, look, I like this, I don't like this. I mean, we learn. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has to, shape. And so when I hear from Democrats that they feel like they get rejected, if they want to say, guys, I really don't want biological males in my kids' locker room and shower, the Democrats could easily say, we understand that. We get you. Some of us do want, biological males having that choice if they are transitioning. Others don't. But don't reject them. And the vilification and the cancel culture, a cancel culture will still be here. They're going to find something else to cancel. Once it starts to get less popular to cancel the right, maybe they're going to cancel people who have money, or the cancel culture will always be there. Because people always want to hate. People always want to root for one side and they want to vilify the other. That's just human nature. But if the Democratic Party wants to survive and not become progressive or socialist, socialism should be its own party. But, don't make your members feel that if they don't, check every single box, they don't belong, because nobody's going to ever feel like they belong. That's what happens, unfortunately, with a lot of religion. People go, well, if I can't do it all at 100%, then I can't do it at all. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, President Donald Trump appeared to have a very, very successful meeting with Xi Jinping and multiple other leaders as he did his Asia tour. And then he posted on Truth Social that he is resuming nuclear weapon testing immediately. So many of us were like, whoa, what happened? Wait, oh, I thought things went well. Oh, okay, so now we're going to resume our nuclear testing. What transpired? Clue us in. So he said the United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished, including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. He says, because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but had no choice. Russia is second, and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years. Trump said, because of other countries' testing programs, he says, I have instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear programs, our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. He says that process will begin immediately. Boom. Yeah. Close your window blinds. Now, I know people are making a lot of jokes about this. No joke. I see both sides to this. I am a little biased. My uncle, perfectly healthy, brilliant boy, skipped multiple grades in school, concert pianist when he was young, gets very tired and ill at the age of 13. This was in 1955. His family gets told that he had leukemia and was dead in 2 weeks. And what the doctors thought at the time was it was because of the close proximity of where they were living in Phoenix to nuclear testing. Now, we have made nuclear testing much more safe. Okay, we are not necessarily doing the clouds. You see that picture in Las Vegas where people are at a hotel pool, right? And they're just looking, they're seeing the cloud in the background going, well, no big deal. We're not doing that anymore. So we are making it safer. But, I don't trust the government doing anything right, as it pertains to that. And I don't want it in my backyard. I don't want it in anybody's backyard. But on the other end, when you do have weapons and you are anticipating that bad things are going to happen, especially when you have foreign leaders continually threaten that they will go nuclear, figuratively and literally, and we are not doing the active work that you are supposed to with these. Trump has a point. And so if we have a nuclear program and we have nuclear weapons that haven't been tested and updated and whatever you're supposed to do with your nuclear weapons, that's a problem. And so for him to turn around while on Air Force One, after meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, saying this was a response to other nations' recent actions, he must have realized we're behind on this. He said it had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also. Now, where is the testing going to happen? Is it going to be in Nevada? Now, is it going to be in the Midwest? Is it going to be, obviously this is drawing a lot of concern and a lot of discussion going, wait a second here. I'm not surprised, because again, if Trump wants readiness and if we aren't ready, apparently he felt that there was something that we were lacking on. And for him to say we are doing this immediately, that suggests we're playing catch up. Now, the one thing this president does not want to do is be behind on anything and be unprepared. So there was something that came out of those meetings where, that, prompted him to go, look, we are grossly unprepared. So he said it will be announced. We have the test sites. It'll be announced as to when the testing will take place. He says he does not believe that resuming nuclear tests could make the global environment more dangerous. He says, I don't think so. I think we have it pretty well locked up, but we have more than anybody, and I see them testing. I say, well, they're testing. We have to test too. I'd like to see deneutralization because we have so many. Russia's second, China's third. China will catch up within 4 or 5 years. I think de-escalation or denuclearization would be tremendous. We're actually talking to Russia about that, and China would be added to that if we do something. So my guess is during that meeting, when the topic came up, Xi Jinping's like, this is what we're doing. This is what we have. This is what... And Trump was probably like, whoa, where are we at? And he probably called Pete Hegseth. And Pete Hegseth's like, what do you want us? What do you want me to do? Give me an order. And so now I'm mixed again because I want to ensure I think nobody wants any more radiation than that we're already exposed to. But I'm naive in that whole nuclear process and readiness of our arms and what needs to be done. When you have your CCW and you want to stay fit and ready, you need to periodically go to the range and shoot. I mean, hopefully you never have to be in a position where you're really needing to use the gun, but you always need that sense of readiness, and you also want to make sure your weapons work. You want to make sure the barrel's clean. You want to, these are things that you do. You want to make sure your knives are sharp. Now you this is something that's not unheard of. It's just we haven't been doing it. Again, the media is going to make a really big deal about this, but this is, I guess, common sense when you have, this is something countries do. Nuclear companies with nuclear capability test. I don't know what Israel's done on that front with that, but that's what they do. Now, I've always interpreted it as, well, somebody's showing off. The Russians want to show off. The Chinese want to show off. But if there is a sense that America is behind and that Russia feels like they have the upper hand, I could see why Trump's want to be like, look, this is our power. You really want to rethink that? Again, this peace through strength. I'm a fan of that, peace through strength. Now, Trump has warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin, he warned Russian President Vladimir Putin, according to Fox News, that the U.S. has a nuclear submarine stationed right off their shores. Good. Good. Don't mess with us. Okay? We have a nuclear submarine right there. And sure, Russia is want to now find the submarine. But, he said he's not playing games with Putin. He said Russia said this week that they've tested a new missile that could go more than 8,000 miles. Is that saber rattling for you? What is that? Oh, that's what the reporter said. And Trump said, I know we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off the shores. So, I mean, it doesn't have to go 8,000 miles, and they're not playing games with us. We're not playing games with them either. We test missiles all the time, but we don't need to go 8,000 miles. So, we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep you posted. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.